Hi guys, for today's Dollar Tree video, we're gonna do something that we've never done before on my channel, that I've never attempted before, but I'm very excited about it. I wanna do a water test from bottles of water that I've purchased from Dollar Tree. Let me put a disclaimer here and say that this is not to determine whether or not Dollar Tree is selling good or bad water, because Dollar Tree has nothing to do with actually any of these bottles of water. They're not sourced or made from Dollar Tree plants or anything like that. Every one of these bottles of water that I've done research on does not come from Dollar Tree. They're just sold at Dollar Tree, but they're also sold in different places as well. But because you guys know I love Dollar Tree, and because I did purchase these from there, I wanted to go ahead and do this water test video and see what results we kind of get. And we're gonna use this pH Perfect test little thing that I bought from Amazon, and it has a pH chart to tell you whether your water is acidic, neutral, or alkaline. And just so that you know, I am going to talk about in great detail, or as much, not great detail, let me throw that out there. I did high level research on each of these bottles of water, so definitely go do your own research. The one thing I didn't do was pull the water reports from each of these companies, but they do provide the water reports because it is public record. But just to give you a general chart of how this works, acidic is bad, and neutral's neutral, and alkaline is essentially the best. And here is the little chart on the back. So our water will essentially become one of these colors because we're gonna put the little water in some little containers, then we're gonna put these little drops in there, and then we're gonna see what color the water comes out at. Plus, I found out some really great information that I had in my mind was a really bad thing. So hopefully this video can clear up some maybe issues that you've had with water as well. But again, this is just my research that I did on the web, and you have to remember that whenever you're on the internet, you have to consider what source you're reading from. Just because it's out there doesn't make it true, doesn't make it real. So just consider the source. I went straight to these water companies. So of course they're gonna talk the best about themselves, and yeah, so just keep that in mind. All right, so let's kind of kick this off with what bottle of water are we gonna test today. I'm also gonna throw in my own personal tap water. So that's where we need to talk about municipal water, which is essentially the water that you get from your tap from where you live. It's water that your town pulls from a very specific source, and it feeds it into your tap and your shower and the toilet and all of those things. So my tap water results may not be the same as your tap water results. I do know that my town pulls the water supply from a lake. Now, spring water is where it's different from municipal water. However, purified water could actually be a combination of both the same, similar to municipal and spring. It really just depends on who the company is and where they're getting their water source from. Spring water is water that's derived from an underground formation in the earth that flows naturally up to the surface. So it's completely natural. Whenever you read bottles of water that says natural spring water, it's because it was just made by the natural process of the earth. It was not man-made. So as I was saying, it's just the process of what's happening in an underground formation that rises to the earth's surface. Purified water, on the other hand, is water that can come from municipal. I'm looking at my notes, by the way. It can come from municipal water, it can come from a well, or it can actually also come from the spring. And what happens in that process with purified water is it undergoes a reverse osmosis before they add minerals back in for a consistent taste. And now let's go ahead and get into the bottles of water that we're going to be testing. However, I am adding one in that I did not purchase from Dollar Tree, but it's Nestle water. I have no idea if you can actually purchase Nestle water, but here's Ozark. I did get this there. Again, I really don't know if I should be calling this a Dollar Tree video, but I purchased these at Dollar Tree. So this is the Ozark water we're gonna be testing. We're gonna be testing the Nestle, which I already had on hand. I got this at Walmart. And we're gonna testing the Alka Sports Cap. This is from Dollar Tree as well. And then we're gonna be testing Evian, which is said to be the best. And we'll get into some really interesting details about this one, also from Dollar Tree. And Crystal Geyser, which I thought was actually a Dollar Tree brand for whatever reason. It's not. So yeah, so we'll talk about Crystal Geyser and then Niagara, which says purified, and we'll talk about that as well. And this one I also purchased from Dollar Tree, and then of course, my tap water. So I think first up is going to be Ozark. I have already seen a water test on YouTube for this. So in theory, I would think that this is gonna end up the same because the water should be the same. Ozark spring water, and again, it's water that's derived from an underground formation that comes up to the Earth's surface. Ozark is made in Texas, and they collect their spring water from 3 different springs in East Texas that are about 150 miles apart from each other-ish. They're in a 150-mile radius of each other, I guess. So 3 different springs. Ozark claims that their bottled water is regulated, and they claim to test their water more than tap, which is 60 times more than how they test municipal water. And supposedly, not supposedly, but they say that municipal water is tested very vigorously, just over and over and over, because I'm sure like the Aaron Brockovich thing really became a really huge real factor in how something that goes unnoticed can really destroy humans and kill them. So I think a lot of water companies have learned a lot from that whole PG&E situation in California. So tap water is said to be tested very vigorously. And so Ozark thus claims that they undergo an even vigorous testing and 60 times more than what tap does. They also say that their water is absolutely filtered, and it goes through an 11-step process to make sure the bottled water is safe and tasty. So now that we have Ozark done and it's working itself out, although I can already just tell that it's kind of settled into its color, let's move on and let's take a look at Evian. So Evian, I don't know if you guys have this kind of concept from it, but Evian tends to be like the fancy stuff that they sell at restaurants. And Evian is the most natural out of every single water that I have in here. It is mineral water sourced from Lake Geneva from France. So it comes from the French Alps. It is natural spring water. So it has the same kind of concept where it is formed underneath the earth and then it rises naturally to the surface. However, the process of Evian is crazy interesting. So originally it began in 1829 and they were bottling it in glass containers until 1969 when they switched to a PVC bottle, and then in 1995 they switched to the collapsible PET packaging. So let's talk about the packaging because I feel like that's been one of my biggest concerns, but here is what I have found out from that. Okay, so a lot of people are claiming that chemicals are leaching from plastic water bottles. They're not BPA free. There's just a lot swirling on the internet about how bad the plastic is from these water bottles. However, from what I have found, there is no connection between the PET FDA approved packaging and BPA. There's not like one and the same. BPA has something to do with something else completely, and the PET packaging does not have any sort of issue with chemicals that leach into the water or anything like that, just because of how they package this type of plastic, I guess. So there are claims that the plastic water bottles stored in warm environments leach chemicals are not actually based on science, and they're simply not true. These allegations have been perpetrated by the internet and media, and it's not true. They don't leach any sort of chemicals because it is a PET packaging that just doesn't harbor any sort of chemicals like that. So I think whatever's swirling on the internet and reported by the media is actually completely untrue. All right, so Evian water emerges from a tunnel in the mountains at 52.88 degrees Fahrenheit. The source is fed from snow melt and rain that filters from the, I'm gonna say this wrong, Venzier Plateau over 15 years through a glacial sand, which is surrounded by clay, which protects the water from pollution. And then it's bottled at a nearby plant. So pure and natural, it is not processed or treated in any way, shape, or form. So I have to do a little bit more research on this. All water kind of undergoes an FDA approved process. So they technically do like a testing. I'm sure they do testing on it, but if I'm reading this correctly, they're claiming that they don't filter it in any sort of way because it's so pure and so natural, it doesn't need that. That the way that it just undergoes such a natural process in the French Alps, it just doesn't need it. Alright guys, so I am done testing the water. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the chart again, just so that you can kind of see if that will focus. And then looking at these colors, you can just immediately see the good ones from the bad ones. And essentially, there are, in my mind, one neutral, maybe even one bad. It's a little bit difficult to see, but let's just take it one by one. You've got Ozark over here that is looking very yellow, kind of maybe close to an orange a little bit. And so that's bad. It's very acidic. If we were to look at Evian, Evian definitely looks to be in this color range right here, just like an 8.5. So that's pretty dang good. You've got Crystal Geyser, which honestly shocked me. Crystal Geyser shocked me to my core, and it is looking like this color. I know in theory it kind of looks like the neutral green, but it's probably somewhere between a 7 and an 8. It's either a neutral or it's an 8. So that is very surprising. Niagara was also surprising for me. I thought it was gonna do really well. I didn't go and speak to Niagara, but it is the purified water. So spring, 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 this is purified water. And I believe Nestle is purified water. Yep, it's also purified water, and we talked about the difference between purified and spring, and then alkaline water is purified as well. So you can see Niagara is a straight yellow. That's kind of why I thought Ozark was closer to the orange, because it's a darker yellow and this is a lighter yellow. So essentially Niagara isn't as bad as Ozark. And then you've got Nestle, which is this pure green, which I think is probably a 6. It could be a 6, it could be a 7, so it could be the neutral completely, but it's just kind of difficult to tell a little bit. So it's in one of those two brackets, so it's either on the acidic side or it's on the neutral side. And then if you look at this alkaline water, that is the most blue, and it's kind of hard because I don't really see blues on this chart. I see more purples and teal. So I'm gonna just have to assume that it's somewhere in this like 8.5 or 9 bracket. So alkaline water, it is in the alkaline bracket. So that water is what it says it is. And this one right here is my tap water. So the closer to purple, the better. So very interesting that my tap water is better than Niagara and Ozark, and even better than Crystal Geyser and Nestle Pure. I didn't realize I had so much to say about water, so hopefully I can cut this video down to just, you know, I've been talking a lot. So anyway, I'm very surprised by the results of this water. Ozark is scary to me because I've been drinking Ozark for a very long time, and personally I won't continue to drink Ozark. Again, do what you need to do, make your own choices. I'm just talking about myself in general. It's too acidic. I think that the goal should definitely be alkaline. Evian did not disappoint. It is a beautiful type of water. Crystal Geyser really surprised me. So if you've just been kind of wanting to buy bottled water at Dollar Tree, but you don't know the brand, it's kind of odd, you don't know it, Crystal Geyser does not seem to be too bad. It seems to definitely be in the neutral to alkaline side of the fence. Niagara is acidic. Not going to be drinking that. Nestle, I thought Nestle was going to be a lot better than this for some reason, and it just seems to be neutral, if not kind of bad. And then alkaline water, it's alkaline, and alkaline water is supposed to be so good for you. Do your research. It's supposed to even prevent cancer, all kinds of really interesting concepts there, so check that out. And then the tap water again is very interesting, but I still won't drink tap water. It's still purified water, and I'm just not comfortable with that myself. I think I would much rather prefer the most natural route possible. There is one that I didn't test because I didn't have it on hand, but Fiji water. So I'll just end up like testing that really quickly on my Instagram. If you don't know, I have an Instagram, it's Cheap Crafty Girl. So as soon as I get some Fiji water, I'm gonna test that as well. And I'm gonna be changing my water game, you guys. So I hope that this video was really helpful to you. Please give it a thumbs up. Let me know how you enjoyed it in the comment section, and let me know what water you guys are drinking. And again, please do your research. I will link this water test down below. That way you guys can test out your water yourself. You can test out your tap, because I will say the video that I watched on Ozark, the lady that tested her Ozark, it was completely orange. Her Ozark seemed to be even worse than mine. So for some reason, water just tests differently. It's really interesting. You think it wouldn't, but especially from someone who claims that their water's kind of the same and comes, but it does come from 3 different springs. Maybe one is worse than the other. I don't know. So yeah, so keep that in mind. Again, I'll link this down below for you guys. I got it from Amazon. It was very, very inexpensive. I think it was somewhere between 10 and 13 bucks. Definitely worth a shot, especially if you're interested in seeing what your tap water results are. But that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.